What is up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It is your host that does the absolute most spiritual intellectual 777 here once again, coming at you guys from the house of greatness. And in today's video, what we are going to talk about is the Delta Males and the Male Personality Traits 101 series. And if you would like to check out the other previously recorded videos within that category, the Sigmas, the Alphas, and the Betas, the link to the playlist will be in the description below. So without further ado, let's get it started. So basically, some background information about the Delta males is that they are considered the worker bees and they are the average Joes of society. So that pretty much means that they don't really stand out much at all, guys. They pretty much just blend in the background, kind of like the extras or the stand-in actors in a film. You know, those are just the people just taking up space in the background just to make it appear like there's a lot going on when it really isn't. And you see the main stars of the show or movie that you're watching or a web series, you know, that are doing the most talking. And also, you can work with them for years and not even notice that they're there, really. And so, the very first trait of a Delta male is that they are extremely introverted. I mean extremely, guys, to the extreme. So they pretty much, which means they pretty much make them scared. They pretty much make themselves scarce from anything social. And because of that, they really have like very little to no personality at all. And they pretty much are not dynamic, which pretty much means that, you know, I don't mean to be mean or anything, but they're just boring as hell. They're just the boring types of people. You all know these types of people at your job, in the classroom or whatever, you know, and they are very, very similar to beta males, although they are not the same. Because beta males, you know, although they do not have that much success with the ladies and they're pretty much pushovers, you know, at least they have some type of social success. At least they have a better chance of climbing up the social ladder or whatever. Whereas deltas, you know, they pretty much don't get invited to anything because, like I said, they just really do not have anything to offer. And it just seems like, you know, you may bump into them and say, okay, you know, watch out the way, dude. Like, what are you doing? You know, and one prime example that I can think of is the TV character from the Breaking Bad show, Walter White. Right before, and I'm talking about way before he turns into Heisenberg and does all this, you know, evil stuff. You know, where he murders people and sells drugs and puts his family at risk. You know, before that, he pretty much is just this average Joe guy who's diagnosed with cancer. He's in a loveless marriage. His son has cerebral palsy. And he works 2 dead-end jobs, pretty much. He works as a chemistry teacher during the day, and then he works his second job at the car wash by day as well. So, you know, he's pretty much the definition of a Delta male as you're gonna get. Because, yeah, Walter White, you know, I pretty much feel bad for the character because he, you know, he really doesn't have much going for him in life. And obviously, if you've seen the show, you've seen him devolve into Heisenberg, right? But yeah, not to talk too much about him. You know, and the fact that, you know, they think that they're beta males, you know, says a lot about them. You know, they're near the bottom so much of the, you know, male personality trait hierarchy that, you know, they identify themselves as betas. I mean, it's just hilarious. But like I said earlier, is that, you know, they don't have, you know, really any success pretty much going for them. You know, it's quite sad, frankly, to just know that these guys just live like a measly existence, which is like 99% of people in general are pretty much deltas. It's real sad. And you know, and because of that, they're extremely private and resentful, which causes them to not get invited to social gatherings because they're resentful pretty much everybody else who gets to do all the cool stuff while they don't, because they quite frankly haven't put in much effort to try to climb up the social ranks or try to add value to people's lives besides just being a drone and being a worker bee, right? Because they pretty much are similar to betas that they do no more, no less, but they are at the extreme when it comes to that. So betas, consider yourself lucky. So without further ado, let's move on to the next point. All right, so the second trait of a delta male is that he is a drone of society. And they are the very, and I mean the very definition of the average person, right? Because they are as average as a person can get. You know, they pretty much don't do any more than they're told, literally, because they're just like little programmable robots. And because they're like programmable robots, employers and business owners love delta males for this fact, because they can pretty much just throw all the trivial tasks at the delta male and he's just going to pretty much take care of it with ease, because, you know, like I said, you know, they don't want to make any effort to try to rise through the ranks. Now, I'm not saying that all delta males don't want to aspire to be at least the alpha or much less the sigma and better their lives, because there are many men who are motivated to, you know, they are motivated to want more success in their lives, like they want more. But usually just the average man in general is just not gonna he's not gonna put in that much effort to change his situation. You know, delta males tend to be very, very content with where they are, with getting the social security checks, with getting the just pension in general. Like I said, the social security checks, pensions, you know, they tend to, you know, conform to that role of just the 9-to-5 worker. You know what I mean? And because, you know, they don't ruffle any feathers or whatever, because they don't take risks, they aren't creative or innovative, you know, they don't get invited anywhere with anybody. So they pretty much have very little to no friends. And because of this, they tend to congregate with other delta males and females because they fit right in. And so without further ado, let's move on to the next point. All right, so the third trait of a delta male is that they don't really date very much. And this is because they lack the options to even date in the first place, because they are the drones of society. They're very average and subpar at best, and they tend to blend in and do what they're told, no more, no less, because they're not creative. Because they're not creative and innovative enough to want to attract women at all, or much less attract high-level women who are at the top of the totem pole, so to speak. And so because of that, like I said, they get rejected by women altogether. And this is because, you know, women just pretty much don't notice that these guys exist. They're kind of like, you know, the workers at school or the workers at, you know, the grocery store, pretty much. Like, that's what I can think of, is that, you know, the men who work at grocery stores. Now, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any males that work at grocery stores or work at schools or whatever. I'm just saying in general, like, you just know those type of people who just, you know, you see them walking down the hallway, but afterwards you just forget that they even exist. And this is the same thing with women. Like, women just forget that delta males exist in the first place, you know. And even if the delta males do get a date, because I'm not saying that, you know, it's pretty much hopeless for deltas to not get a date, because they can, but just know that your options are very limited. And because it is, they tend to date delta females. But even delta females want to upgrade to at least the beta or higher. So delta males are pretty much S out of luck. You know what I'm saying? And delta males, because they don't date and because they lack options, they pretty much don't have that much sex. Unless, you know, they do get up with another delta female and they decide to put a ring on it. And usually delta males and delta females get married to each other because of the lack of options for the both of them. You know, because for the simple fact that they mirror each other. All right. So let's move on to the very next point. So the very last trait of a Delta male is that they work dead-end jobs and they pretty much stay there for the rest of their lives. Right? Because, you know, they want to be told what to do, like I said in the previous points. And because they like to be told what to do, they tend to fit in with you know, the corporate infrastructure. And because they are easily programmable, and because they have the herd mentality, just like the betas. And if you want to more in-depth information about the beta male personality trait, you can go ahead and click the link to the playlist in the description to watch that video and watch the other ones at your own leisure. You know, if you so choose, if you want to be educated about the other 3 male personality traits, and I got more coming up in this series. And, you know, another key thing within this point to realize is that they tend to work entry-level to mid-level jobs, and that's pretty much as high as they're gonna go, because, you know, for the rest of their life they're just gonna clock in and clock out, clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out, and they do this for about 30 to 40 years, and then they retire with a pension plan. And within those 30 to 40 years, they don't even bother to ask for a raise or promotion, pretty much, because they're just perfectly content with just working an entry to a mid-level job for the rest of their life, and they're slowly but surely accumulating money for their Social Security pension. So technically it's not all that bad, but if you want to live in abundance and thrive and to actually live your dreams, then you obviously know there is no way in hell that you're gonna work an entry-level job for the rest of your life, because you have bigger plans, you have bigger goals, you have bigger dreams. And if you're watching this, you more than likely have big dreams and big goals. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be on my channel in the first place, because this channel is for people who are serious about developing themselves into their greatest version and transforming their lives for the better. And if that's not you, I want you to leave my channel and unsubscribe entirely, because I don't need tire kickers around here. I need people who are actually going to go hard. All right? Those are the only people I want on this channel watching my videos. You understand? We ain't gonna have no drones and no worker bees and no average people around here. All phenomenal. But anyways, yeah, moving on. You know, and because they can do these low to mid level jobs well, you know, these employers know that they can program Delta males like robots, pretty much. You know, you tell them that, like, hey, go clean the crap off the toilet. Guess what? They're gonna go ahead and clean crap off the toilet. You tell them to go ahead and scrub all the toilets and sinks in the bathrooms. They're gonna do that. You tell them to write a 10-page report at work. Guess what? They're gonna do it with no problem. They don't question authority. They don't want to ruffle no feathers. So they just gonna go ahead, do their job, no more, no less, clock out, go chill out at home by themselves, more than likely, because they can't really get a date like that, because they're not very interesting men. And you know, and because, you know, they're such great employees, they rarely get fired. So there is some pluses to being a Delta male, like you're less likely to get fired is one of them. And so employers are always looking for employees who obey orders without question and who don't ruffle any feathers. And Delta males fit this role perfectly, right? And so, you know, the employers are just going to keep them around because they know that they can just pay the Delta males whatever, and the Delta males are going to get the scraps. So hopefully that isn't you. Hopefully you're not that type of person who's just going to settle for, you know, a bi-weekly or a weekly paycheck. You know, I hope that, you know, if this does happen to sound like you, I hope that this does like spark a fire within you and motivate you to get up off your butt and to actually start dreaming more, to actually start going ahead and going after your dreams and taking some initiative and being ballsy and stepping outside of the box and doing what others are afraid to do. You know, the good news is that you do not have to stay stuck within the Delta male role. You don't. You get to climb up. You have a choice to shift your identity. And if you want more advice on how to shift your identity and self-image, you could click the link to my podcast episode about that in the description below as well, because I want to see you as a man succeed. Now, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video by saying thank you for watching. And if you're brand spanking new to this channel, I welcome you with lots of love and positive vibes and, you know, light and whatnot. Make sure to face your darkness too. Yeah, and if you enjoyed the video that you watched, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button and click that bell right next to it and click the all category and don't leave it on personalized, because if you leave it on personalized, you're gonna get some notifications but not all. So make sure to click all so you get notified on every single video that I upload on this channel. And I upload videos on this channel every single Friday at 11 a.m. on the dot. So keep that in mind. I upload videos on this channel every single Friday at 11 a.m. on the dot Central Standard Time. And also, you know, if you are a supporter of the 8 Mil Productions brand and you haven't copped you some merch, why haven't you already? Make sure to go ahead and click the link in the description below to cop your merch right now. If you support the 8 Mil Productions brand that much, make sure to go ahead and share this with your friends and family members that need to see this video. Make sure to timestamp the favorite part of this video in the comment section below, and we can interact, you know. And you know, speaking of interaction, make sure to leave in the comment section on what's working with my videos and also what I can improve upon going forward. All right. And so with that being said, peace in and out with the highest vibes, and I'll see you guys next Friday.